You're listening to Two Girls, One Crossword.
I have trouble in general with cups. It's kind of like...
I don't have
thing.
a very wide mouth. I have a narrow mouth, so I can't do like the wide openings. You know what I mean?
I don't even have a mouth. And so it's basically impossible for me to drink out of a cup.
You just have a hole in the center of your face.
Yes, actually.
My dogs are kind of cold today.
Your dogs?
My feet. Because it's getting chilly outside.
Sorry, I got confused by you using dogs to describe your feet. I feel like that is 100% something you would use to describe your feet, that word.
I do it all
I
the
was still
time.
caught off guard.
I like to say my dogs are barking. A lot. I say it a lot. I'm actually surprised I haven't said it around you, but I guess my feet are always in good condition when we're hanging out.
That's a good sign. It's a good sign because we don't do a lot of walking.
It's true.
Together.
We do a lot of sitting on our asses, making horrible DIYs.
But
anyway.
Yeah, spending way too much. You know how much money I spent on that clay? I can't even. What did you do with your... We can't even tell the listeners.
It's hanging up. Chelsea and I, we tried to make this like polymer clay chain thing that we saw on TikTok. We're like, oh, this should be easy. It looked really nice. It's like a decor thing to put on the wall. It's just a chain out of clay. So we made it, and it's just horrible because we made the chains too like skinny and big, and they dried all wonky. And
yeah, no, I got mine sitting on my my bookshelf, and it's fine.
I don't know what
fine.
I'm gonna do with mine. I think
yeah. What are you gonna do?
You could use it behind a plant to let a plant grow through it. I feel like that's the only way.
I think so. Like, I think ideally I'm going to hang some shelves in like upper corners and like have a vine sit up there and like have it kind of like hanging off the shelf and like have the vine go through so you can't see how shite it is. So it just kind of looks like a really cool thing in the far distance. One of those things that if you approach, you're like, oh, this isn't actually as cool as I thought it was, you know? So keep
That's most of my DIYs.
Far. Yeah. I sent Grace another TikTok the other day with some girl making really cute earrings. And in my head, I was like, we can do this. This is so easy. And then I was like, relax. You couldn't even make a polymer clay chain. Like, whatever. I can't.
Although we should buy those from her because they were really cute. But
yes.
Anyways, we are bad at DIYs, but hopefully we're better at podcasts. This is Two Girls, One Crossword. I'm Grace Topinka.
And I'm Chelsea Rowan. This is your favorite weekly Podword Crosscast. Back at you again, live from our apartments.
We do not give up.
It's true.
Oh.
We've never given up a day in our life. What?
I give up all the time. I said because I forgot to pull up the poll from this week.
The poll? You mean we have a poll every week? What?
We do. Having to do with our previous or that week's topic. We usually post on Wednesdays, so follow us on Twitter if you want to participate at the Good Eve Girls.
It's called Pollapalooza, everybody, okay? It's like the best part of the episode where we argue about our listeners' answers to our polls.
This one was hard to come up with.
Yes.
Our topics last week were nails and yodeling. So
very, very interesting topics.
Yes. The question was, who are you inviting to yodel at your birthday party? Potential answers: Jimmy Rogers, Julie Andrews, Mason Ramsey, or Franzel Lang. And with 70% of the vote, won by a mile, Julie Andrews. Of course, even though a yodeler will probably say she's not even that good of a yodeler.
It's true. I told you last week, there are some professional yodelers or yodeling like, what's the word?
Critics?
Enthusiasts and critics that have given Julie Andrews a hard time for her yodeling in Sound of Music when it's like, okay, yodeling is very hard. She's amazing at literally everything else. And she did what she could, okay?
She did what she could. She had like a 2-year-old at that time, just gotten a divorce. Anyway,
listen to our Sound of Music podcast for more.
Do re mi. Our second place winner was Mason Ramsey, the young Walmart yodeler that went viral a couple of years ago. And then 10% in third place and last place, because no one voted for Jimmy Rogers, is Franzel Lang, who is
Nobody voted for Jimmy Rogers. Interesting. Yeah. I wonder if there's a scandal that we don't know about. We just threw him on. He's like,
Maybe. If there is a scandal, sorry about it. I didn't know.
We didn't know.
But we did get a reply from Eric Peterson saying the yodeling pickle given away at Lollapuzzoola 3.
Yes. What was that about? We got an answer from Lollapuzzoola. Was it Brian who wrote to us?
AKA Fill Me In. I'm not sure who responded. But
Okay.
they said, we had a yodeling pickle toy on the show for a while during season 3, which, by the way, we don't have seasons. Maybe we should have seasons.
Should we do seasons?
I don't know.
Okay.
Anyways, we'll discuss later. We always discuss our logistics on air.
On air.
Anyways, they said, we had a yodeling pickle toy and gave it away as a grand prize at Lollapuzzoola in 2010. One of the hosts of the podcast thought the pickle was awesome, and one of the hosts wanted to destroy it. So I don't know which one thought it was awesome and which one wanted to destroy it. But if I had known, I would have definitely put that on the...
Exactly. Sorry, next poll about yodeling, we will definitely include the pickle from Lollapuzzoola. Or, sorry, Fill Me In.
Yeah. I will definitely I'll probably do a daily yodeling poll now.
Yeah, okay.
People seem to really like it, so...
Yeah, they're really into yodeling polls. And I'm really into pickles.
One of our most successful polls, I was just looking, is the egg poll. That got so many votes compared to other ones.
Eggs are contentious. I mean, we talked about the poll for a long time the following week. Because eggs bring out a lot of passion and anger in people. I got passionate and angry following
eggs
the poll.
Really show people's true colors.
It's true.
Especially this year.
This year of every year. I feel like if you don't like eggs, I can't trust you.
But we said we don't like eggs sometimes.
Well, okay, but we sometimes like eggs. I'm saying if you don't like eggs, full stop. Okay, our like is fluctuating. You know, we go with the flow. We're like the tide in and out. But if someone is like a dried up lake about eggs, then sorry, I can't with you.
Well, it's true. Sometimes you can't trust us. So
Ooh.
Maybe that is a good judge of character. Who knows? Should we get into our heights and shites?
Let's get into the heights and shites, okay? Okay. I want to start us off with the Sunday, September 19th WAPO. I haven't done a WAPO in a very long time. I jumped back in by Evan Bernholz, of course. I want to start by talking about the theme, which was sports themed. It was sports themed. Okay, so no shade to Evan, but it's of course, the first puzzle, the first WAPO back in a couple months, and it's sports themed. I'm like, goddamn. Surprisingly did okay. Basically, the theme was the revealer was 124 across. I actually loved this revealer. Ambitions among friends, or what 7 answers in this puzzle represent, ? And the answer was squad goals. That's great, Phil. Essentially, the answers were all pro sports team names inside of common phrases. For example, let's see. 74 across, happy players on Tampa Bay's MLB team. And it's the Tampa Bay Rays or something or other. And the answer was Rays of Sunshine. So happy Tampa MLB players, Rays of Sunshine. Or 99 across, Buffalo NFL players who deserve praise, Bills of credit. You know, Buffalo Bills and given credit because they deserve praise. Things like that.
And then Bills of credit is actually a saying too. There's 3 things going on here.
Exactly.
Normally I'm not into the sports ones, but I feel like I also did okay at this one. It's I can know a city and a team. I might know that. That's a little more general knowledge.
Exactly. And I have some general information. I feel like MLB, it gets a little dicey. NHL and NFL, I tend to know more. NBA, don't even try.
I haven't since, the incident.
It's true. I'm sorry about that again. There's also a really fun clue. You know, Grace and I love to see this. 27 across. Rum_Tugger, cat from Cats. The answer is Tum. Rum Tum Tugger is the name of the cat. And played by Jason Derulo in the movie. I feel like at the end, the experience we had with Jason Derulo singing those ad libs at the end.
High notes, yeah.
He was like,
it was higher than that.
While all the other, I can't really do a Jason Derulo impression, but while all the other cats were harmonizing, and who was in the center? Was it Judi Dench?
She was looking directly into the camera at that point.
It was so, whatever. It's so bonkers. You have to just see it and just accept it for what it is.
Let's watch it again. Maybe we'll watch that this spooky season.
Oh, great idea.
No, maybe Cats should be our New Year's Eve show because we watched in January when it came out.
That's a great
so it'll
idea.
Be like a New Year's Eve
I
tradition.
love that.
The
I
new
love
year
that for us.
started off right.
Okay, perfect. What else do you have? Do you have any hits? Do you have any shits?
Well, I had that same rum tum tugger hit as well. I also liked from that clue 117 across. Sorry, from that puzzle where one might grab a cab. The wine store.
I love when they do that. It's tricky and fun.
And then 97 across. Name that's an apt anagram of astral. The name was Starla.
Yes.
I've never met anyone named Starla.
I've never met anybody named Starla. It's a great name, though.
It is great.
Good name. What else you got?
Let's see. The Friday, September 17th, New York Times by Matthew Stock. I liked some clues in there. 59 across. What may be considered worse when done well? Steak.
Agreed.
And I agree with that too, but I feel like, that's a matter of opinion. I guess it says what may be considered worse.
Right.
But yes, totally agreed. 42 across. Showers with sparkles. Glitter bombs.
Make sure you're getting environmentally friendly glitter bombs, folks.
Yes, please do. Biodegradable. 40 down. Ones who are sent packing, ? Hitmen.
Hitmen. Okay.
And then this is one, learned something new. I didn't realize this was the, foundation of this word. 36 across. Ancient gathering place. Agora. Agoraphobia is fear of crowds. I didn't realize that's where it came from.
See, I knew both of those things. I knew agora was that answer, and I knew agoraphobia was a fear of crowds.
But you didn't put it together.
My brain just put a wall up. Just put a wall up there, you can't have this information. Let me see. The Monday, September 20th, New York Times by Pal Roy.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the opener and closer. I like when constructors do fun things like this. One across was, this is the opener, what lava becomes after an eruption, and the answer was rocks. And then the closer for the acrosses, which is 60 across, what lava is before an eruption is magma. So to have the puzzle start with rocks and end with magma in volcano-type clues, gotta love it. I like that a lot.
I do like that as well.
17 across, this was a 15-letter answer. I like to see interesting 15-letter fill. Pizza feature for a specialized diet, and the answer was gluten-free crust. I personally don't mind.
15 letters.
I know. I personally don't mind gluten-free crust, but I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to order it. But I do like seeing it in a puzzle.
Yes, agreed on both counts.
Yes. And then 37 across. I have never tried to spell this word ever.
This was in my hits too.
But it was great to have that opportunity in the New York Times puzzle. Cleaned as a window. And the answer was squeegeed, which is a great word. And again, I've never spelled it until that day.
Squeegeed is a great word. That's a good word for a pet name, Squeegee. Just putting it out there.
Squeegeed. You can call him Mr. G.
Squee.
GG boy. What else? What else do you got?
I did the New York Wednesday, September 22nd, New Yorker by Natan Last.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of good ones. 21 down. Producers of road movies? ? Dash cams.
Ooh, a lot of countries, it's law. All cars have to have dash cams, but not here.
You could watch YouTube compilations of Russian dash cam footage.
Right, and it really actually helps with car crash type lawsuits and things like that, and whatever. You can also use dash cams to solve crimes and things they can be oh, your car was here at this time, we need your dash cam footage to see if we can see the perpetrator of XYZ crime.
That's why I drive a Google car.
Yes.
Because if I happen to drive past any crime, I'm ready. 19 across, Senate cover-up was toga.
Very nice.
15 down, adjustment after a wild pitch, ? Auto-tune.
I was it's something musical. I don't know the answer. Very good.
This kind of combined our two of our topics. 6 across, its biggest attraction is on a list. Oh, well, okay. Pizza. But I was on a list. At first I was the like 7 architectural wonders of the world, but then I was like, oh wait, no, I think on a list because it's tilting.
Listing that, but that's I love that double
So
meaning.
maybe it's
Very
both.
good. It's probably both. They're smart. They're smart over there.
They are. Yeah, this whole puzzle is great. And then this is learn something new, 33 down. City that's home to the world's largest pride parade.
I don't know.
It's Sao Paulo.
Good for Sao Paulo.
I was like San Francisco, New York.
Yeah,
Nope,
yeah.
Sao Paulo. So
You learn something new every day.
that's why. Oh no, where did Edward go? He went to Rio.
Yeah.
He loved Brazil though. Edward Cullen, that is, if you're lost.
That Grace and I knew exactly what we were talking about there. So get on our level, basically. I liked the Thursday, September 23rd USA Today by Eric Agard. The puzzle was titled Outliers, spelled Liars. And the theme was basically the word crook, bookended each theme answer. And the theme answers were 20 across. And all the themed answers were really good. 20 across. Hashtag for Katie Grogg's clue explanation videos. And if you don't know who Katie Grogg is, because you forgot since I mentioned her a couple episodes ago, Katie Grogg is the person on TikTok who reviews crosswords and teaches people how to do crosswords on TikTok. She's exploded.
People love her.
People love her.
us.
Now, I like her too, but it's just like, hello, we're here too. But the answer is crossword talk. So I'd love to see that in a puzzle. And CRO is the beginning of that word, and OK is the end of that word, so crook. And then the next is 37 across, Newfoundland City, and the answer is Corner Brook, or Croner Brook or something like that. And so crook.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's Corner Brook. So C at the very beginning and ROOK at the very end, crook. And then 52 across, started to study, cracked a book. Again, book ended by the word crook. Very good. And there are some other clues from that puzzle that I really liked. The clue and the answer: 4 across, unapt rhyme for dry. And the answer was cry. And this was followed directly by 7 across, apt rhyme for wet. And the answer was sweat. I just like when they do things like that. It's just, you can tell that the constructor's having fun. And then 21 down, like the Starry Night in an 1889 Van Gogh painting. Starry? What did I just say? Did I say
A Starry Night? You said it in the clue.
I said it in the clue, but it wasn't in my notes. That's very... I do this sometimes. Do I have dyslexia?
It's probably
Who
like a
knows?
night in a...
Yeah, like the night in an 1889 Van Gogh painting, and the answer is starry. Just, I liked that. And then 27 down, animal with its own Instagram, perhaps. Answer is pet. Just
You're going to plug your pet's Instagram?
I'm not going to plug my pet's Instagram. I have stepped away from that responsibility, and now Matt has completely handles that.
No one can just have a pet anymore.
They
like you have to make a
literally
brand
cannot.
out of it.
Yeah. I'm using it as a scrapbook. We have been approached by brands, and I'm like, no, goodbye. I don't care.
You should. Get a couple bandanas for the kid.
Oh, why? That's too much
You're
work.
right. He
Grace.
wouldn't appreciate it.
He wouldn't appreciate it. It's too much work. You're more than welcome to become his manager and then take over that responsibility if you would like to pursue branded opportunities for my dog. But anyway, that was a good puzzle.
I'm glad you're doing the USA Today more. I feel like I
Yes.
haven't done the USA Todays since
Ooh.
you've been doing them. What's that about?
I don't know.
Not on purpose, just the way the cookie crumbled.
We're yin and yang. We complete
Mm-hmm.
where there's holes.
We bounce off each other's energies. We can't help it.
We can't. You got anything
That's
else?
No, that's all I have.
Okay, I want to say one last thing from the Thursday, September 23rd New York Times by Simeon Siegel. 17 across made me think of you. Marley of Marley and Me for one. And the answer is Yellow Lab, because Grace was an extra in Marley and Me.
Wasn't he a golden retriever?
I thought it was Golden Retriever as well, but apparently it's a Yellow Lab,
Wow.
according to this crossword.
And I was in the movie, if you missed that, and I didn't even know that.
You love it. You love to see it. You love to see Grace. So basically, go rent
wait.
Marley and Me.
I feel like a yellow lab is a golden retriever, because isn't it a Labrador retriever? Or are we idiots? It's different. You can look into it yourself if you want.
We're moving on. Goodbye. Next. I guess next is our coin flip.
I'm feeling really good about you getting heads.
She said this last week, and it was a curse. So we'll see if she just is placing a hex on me every week.
I wish I could place hexes.
If you put your mind to it, anything's possible.
You think?
I know. It's called manifesting. Talk to me about it sometime. Anyway, okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, I'm flipping the coin now. It's heads. Welcome back to Crazy Town. Have you missed me, listeners? Well, I'm back. My topic comes from the Monday, September 20th, USA Today by Christina Iverson. 36 down. Sunscreen letters.
SPF.
SPF.
Oh my gosh. Like you needed another excuse to research
Sunscreen?
SPF.
Yeah, no. I had a very difficult time picking a topic this week, mainly because I did most of my crosswords after I did my research, basically because I had a busy week. So It is what it is. So I kind of had to I had slim pickings in terms of what I was going to do. Yeah. And SPF as an answer comes up a lot in crosswords. It came up a couple times this week alone. And I was like, okay, am I going to do the history of Wikipedia or am I going to do SPF? And I was like, let's just do SPF. Let's just, a little bit about this. Let's get into it. And also, I'm insane. And I am really aggressive about SPF usage between myself, my partner, and all of the people that I surround myself with. If you don't put SPF on, I can be a little abrasive about it. I'm going to try and be mellow as I go through this topic.
Well, I'm excited to learn more about it because I also like to keep myself protected from the sun. We're both very pale.
Yes, we are. If you couldn't tell from our voices, we are in fact very pale. But yeah, so, okay. This, as you guys probably already know, is a long time, interest of Grace's and ours. We are into skincare. We've talked about sun protection offhandedly a couple times on the podcast.
It comes up.
It comes up. And of course, just in time for fall, it's time to talk about sun protection. Before we get into the actual topic, I want to talk to Grace and myself about what our personal skin, sun protection routines are. So Grace, do you use sunscreen?
Yes, I use sunscreen on my face every day. And if I know I'm going to be doing something outside, I lather up my whole body.
Okay. And what type of sunscreen do you use on your face? And what type of sunscreen do you use on your body? Are they the same one?
No, I have different ones.
Okay.
And I think on my face right now, I'm using a mineral and physical. And then on my body, I think the ones that I have are just mineral.
Okay. And
but I change it up.
It's SPF, a specific SPF that you like to use?
No, just as high as I can get it.
Okay, so as high as she can get it. I'm exactly the same way. I put sunscreen on my face every single day, and I reapply at 2 o'clock every day, even though I'm sitting inside. And in terms of body sunscreen, I struggle with. You'll see when we get to this part of my topic. But I would love to be using body sunscreen every day. I have not built that into my routine. However, if I am going to be outside, no matter what, I will always put sunscreen on.
Mm-hmm.
SPF 30 or higher.
I'm into hats, sun protection. I have a long sleeve bathing suit. I look really cool. It's actually a cute suit, but
yes,
like a surfer.
Yeah, she looks like a surfer. It's cute. And sun protection isn't just skin protection, but also your eyes as well. So wear your sunglasses. That's a big one too.
Chelsea just got sunglasses a month ago for the first time, and now she has missed sunglass awareness.
Yes, it's changed my life, is all I have to say. So Grace may drag me, but it is true. I've
been telling you to get sunglasses for a while. Anyways,
she has.
I'm happy that you got them,
and I'm happy for that fault.
You and your eyes.
Thank you. All right, so now we've talked about our sunscreen practices. Let's talk about. Let's get into a very brief history of sun protection and sunscreen. Okay. The first record of sun protection is probably with the ancient Egyptians, who used rice bran, jasmine, and lupine to protect themselves from the sun. And at this time, light skin was extremely popular in their culture. So they were using sunscreen strictly as a cosmetic thing. They were putting sunscreen on because they didn't want to become tan. They had no idea anything about like protecting themselves from UV rays, for instance. So it's strictly cosmetic. Other cultures have tried sun protection in various ways. Ancient Greeks used olive oils. Some indigenous American tribes used a type of pine needle, which was also effective for soothing sunburns. In the polar regions, people would fend off eyeball sunburn, which is a thing, by fashioning goggles from leather, bone, ivory, or wood. And they would have these like little slits in the goggles to kind of protect their eyes from UV rays, because especially like the sun hits the, you know, not only do you have to worry about the sun hitting you from above, but it hits the snow and it reflects back. Sometimes you look at a snowbank and you're like, God, damn, it's really bright out there. And then let's see. It wasn't until the 1930s that the first modern sunscreen was produced. And until then, modern ways of protecting against the sun included parasols, so like umbrellas, hats, face masks. Like there's this face mask that you could put on your face like this, like women would use it. And it had like a little string with a button attached to it. And you would actually hold the button in between your teeth and like pull it taut to like keep it on your face. And I'm like, God damn, just put it around your ears. Whatever. We have ear elastics now. They might have even used different kinds of paste, like natural paste that they would create out in the wild, or eyeliner. Vikings would use eyeliner to protect themselves from the sun out at sea. So yeah, like I said, 1930s and 40s, we see the first modern sunscreen is produced. In 1938, a Swiss chemistry student named Franz Greider suffered sunburn while climbing Mount Pisbuen on the Swiss-Austrian border, and he decided to invent sunscreen to prevent it from happening again. And his sunscreen hit the shelves in 1946. It was called Glacier Creme, which is glacier cream, and under the brand name Pisbuen, which is still sold today.
I can't believe someone didn't get sunburned before then.
They did, but people were wearing hats all the time and parasols and this is a guy who's climbing a mountain, so he obviously had money. So it was a priority for him. You know, like working class people, especially even today, like people working in the sun all day, like they have more of like a leathery skin texture, and that's the case throughout history. Anyway, so Greider is also credited with establishing the sun protection factor, which is known as SPF today, which is the standard for measuring how long a sunscreen will protect you from the sun's UV rays. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Moving into 1944, American pharmacist Benjamin Green invented a sunscreen solution for the U.S. military during World War II. He used a heavy, sticky substance called red vet pet, which stands for red veterinary petroleum, which is literally like a red paste that vets would use. And it acted as a literal physical barrier between the sun and skin. And after the war, he blended this red vet pet with coconut oil and cocoa butter to produce a sunscreen that is now known as Coppertone.
Oh.
Interesting, right? I actually love the smell of Coppertone. It has like such a memory. It's like very visceral to smell that and like down the shore in New Jersey and like in the ocean. That's like very much what I smell when I smell Coppertone. Anyway, fast forward to 1960s. Like people were not using sunscreen. Like there was a couple sunscreens on the market and like, but it wasn't this widespread thing that it is now. Like there wasn't a lot of research into what the sun could do to your body in terms of damage. So we get to the 1960s and tanning has become popular. We have stars like Brigitte Bardot, who's, you know, basically all glowy and tan and like sitting in an Italian villa and being like on the French Riviera and being like, hello, I'm tan and beautiful. And everybody wanted to be tan like her. And so sunscreen products or sun quote unquote protection products at that time were basically there to create like a healthy glow to help and enhance your tan. Tanning oils came about around this time as well. And then up until the 70s, people would spend hours in the sun without concern for their skin or harming it. And like I said, some sun protection was available, but it wasn't widely used and it wasn't widely regulated. So the ones that were there, like, were probably just lying about like what they did because there was very little research about UV protection. The FDA first proposed regulating sunscreen in 1978, and it did kind of, sort of, but not really. But it was only into the 2010s did the regulations become more serious. And as of 2019, the FDA has issued a proposed update to the guidelines in which they would review like common ingredients found in sunscreen to determine what is or isn't safe to use, because lots of new research has come out recently about like various ingredients in sunscreen and whether or not they're actually healthy for you to be putting on your skin or not.
They recalled a bunch of Neutrogena aerosol.
They did.
Sunscreens.
Yes, exactly. Another instance of what the FDA may or may not do. There are some sunscreens on shelves now that are not FDA approved. This is not unheard of. And they might be required to update their labels to say something like doesn't prevent skin cancer because they don't have certain ingredients inside. And we'll talk more about what to look for in sunscreen, but the basic rule of thumb is to like do your research before you buy one. And you can actually, there are certain, FDA approval seals or like Skin Cancer Foundation seals that you can look for on sunscreen if you're, just running to a Target, and you can just like look for certain seals and just pick those up if you really don't have time to research. But there's so much information on the internet. You can just look up like Vogue's top sunscreens 2021, and there's a list of like 25 sunscreens that they recommend. Okay.
But does Vogue know what stops cancer?
They usually talk to dermatologists. So that's a good rule of thumb. So you can also talk, if you have a dermatologist, talk to your dermatologist about what sunscreen to use. But not everybody goes to the derm. You should if you can afford it. Okay. Why do we need sunscreen? The simple reason is this. Sunscreen prevents sunburn, skin cancer, and premature aging. The first reason we wear sunscreen is to prevent sunburn. But how does the skin burn? Like, what's the big deal? Sunburn is like an inflammatory reaction to ultraviolet UV radiation, which is damage to the skin's outermost layer. And UV rays are a form of radiation that's emitted from the sun, but also artificial sources like tanning beds and some lights. Like there are schools that have like overhead lights that emit UV radiation. Hello. Crazy. So just be careful out there. Okay, and so then we get to melanin. So melanin is the pigment in your skin that gives it color, right? So you're out in the sun, you're not wearing sunscreen, and the melanin realizes like, holy crap, there's no protection against the skin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start producing more melanin really, really quickly to protect the epidermis from the sun. And so they darken your unprotected sun-exposed skin, and the amount of melanin produced is determined by your genetics, right? So some people will get sunburned while other people will get tan.
We get sunburned.
We get sunburned, and other people will get tan. But both burning and tanning are signs of cellular damage to the skin. Okay, so a tan, even though it might be aesthetically pleasing, is your cells are damaging themselves in order to protect you from the sun. No bueno. It's the same exact thing as a sunburn in terms of dermatology. Okay. Yeah. So for people with less melanin, prolonged unprotected sun exposure can cause skin cells to become red, swollen, and painful. Sunburns can range from mild to blistering. Here are some fun sunburn facts. Like I said, some people are more prone to sunburn. Skin type determines your susceptibility. So people with fair skin run the greater risk, but literally anybody, no matter what color your skin is, can get sunburned, no matter what color your skin is. Even without a burn, sun exposure raises skin cancer risk. Even if you are tan or your skin type is dark and your skin doesn't often redden, the sun can cause cellular damage that can lead to cancer. And I'll talk about cancer next.
Oh, great.
Yes. And then the UV index is a factor. So the sun intensity varies by season, time of day, geographic location. And a higher UV index means that unprotected skin will burn faster or more severely. You can Google your location plus UV index today, and it will bring up a graph of what the UV index is for any given time throughout the day. Anything over 3 is you need to be wearing sunscreen outside. You need to. So today I looked at Chicago and we hovered at 3 for most of the afternoon.
It was a cloudy afternoon.
It's cloudy afternoon, but that doesn't matter. It was at 3, okay? And my rule of thumb is just put the sunscreen on no matter what. But if it's at 3, you definitely want to be wearing sunscreen. because you can still burn on an overcast day. 80% of UV rays make it through clouds. So
Clouds
if it's
can't stop them.
clouds will not, they will not be stopped. They've got a job to do, and they're going to do it. And they're going to do it well, especially if you're not wearing sunscreen. Don't let them win. Light pink is still bad in terms of burning. So no matter how mild, every burn is a sign of injury to your skin and can result in premature aging and skin cancer. And repeated sunburns raise your risk of skin cancer, especially for fair-skinned people. Sunburn plays a clear role in developing melanoma. Research shows that the UV rays that damage skin can also alter a tumor-suppressing gene, giving injured cells less chance to repair before progressing to cancer. That scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Followed by this one. Skin damage builds up over time, starting with your very first sunburn. The more you burn, the greater your risk of skin cancer. So I read somewhere that it was like after your first burn, your chances of melanoma increases by 50%.
Who hasn't gotten a first burn?
Exactly. Well, we're about to get into skin cancer.
Great.
So here we go. Like I said, we're talking about skin cancer now. One of the second reason why we need to be wearing sunscreen daily is skin cancer. Skin cancer is the out-of-control growth of abnormal cells in the epidermis, which is the outer layer of skin. And it's caused by unrepaired DNA damage in your skin. So we talked about damage caused by sunburn. This is the cause of skin cancer. Okay? And this damage triggers mutations in the cells. And these mutations lead to skin cells multiplying rapidly and forming malignant tumors. The main types of skin cancer are basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, melanoma, and Merkel cell carcinoma. And the two main causes of skin cancer are the sun's ultraviolet rays and the use of UV tanning beds. Skin cancer facts.
So dangerous.
Do not do tanning beds, please. Oh my God.
I knew some people at my last job that used tanning beds a lot. I think I actually scared one of the women into stopping doing it. But it's just, that's a lot of damage.
It's really, especially when there's other safer options for
Get
having
a spray tan.
tans. Get a spray tan, or there's over the counter, like, I don't know, things you
Self-tanner.
rub on your body. Exactly. I don't know about these things because I think if I showed up anywhere with a tan, people would be like, what has happened to you? I kind of rock the pale look. It's kind of my vibe. It's kind of my thing.
Embrace it.
I'm going to embrace it. Anyway, let's get into fun skin cancer facts. Fun is in quotes. So skin cancer is the most common cancer in the United States and worldwide. 1 in 5 Americans develop skin cancer by the age of 70. 1 in 5. So if you're standing in a room with 4 other people, one of y'all is going to get skin cancer by the time you're 70. Exactly. I mean, I'm in a room with 5 people. Well, it hasn't been a long time, but just think about that. Just think about that.
You got to get checked.
Next fun quote fact. More than 2 people die of skin cancer in the United States every hour.
Wow.
Every hour. That's how many people are getting skin cancer. Okay. Having 5. Oh, this was the fact. Having 5 or more sunburns doubles your risk of melanoma.
I'm there, babe.
I've had many sunburns before.
I grew up in Florida, and I'm pale as hell.
I spent most of my childhood at the beach. Yay. This is why I go to the dermatologist. In the U.S., more than 9,500 people are diagnosed with skin cancer every day. That's crazy. And more people are diagnosed with skin cancer in the United States than all other cancers combined.
Wow.
The one, I would say, good caveat of all of this is that if you are regularly going to the dermatologist and like getting your skin checked out, if skin cancer is detected early, the 5-year survival rate for melanoma is 99%. It's one of those like, for skin cancer can develop quickly. So I'm not going to say that it's like the best cancer to get, but it's one of the cancers that there's a very good treatment process for. And It is one of those that can be caught relatively early if you're doing regular skin tests with your dermatologist. It's recommended you go once a year for a mole and freckle check, because that's basically what it is. Like a freckle or a mole will appear on your body where it hadn't been. Your derm will be like, we're going to scrape that off you. And they scrape it off you. And then you walk out the door and then you get checked regularly every year to make sure it doesn't come back. Survival rate of 99%.
I need to make an appointment.
I know. After doing this, I was like, I haven't gone this year and I need to make the appointment now.
My problem is I have a lot of freckles,
Me
lot
too.
on my arms especially. And they're like, you have to keep track if there's going to be any new ones. I'm like, I cannot keep track. There's way too many.
I know.
And I don't know what looks weird, what doesn't look weird. I don't know. Yeah.
No, I know. Usually, like, when you have like a partner, it's helpful because then they're like, you didn't have that mole before. It's difficult when your partner is oblivious to how many moles you do or don't have. Like Matt's like, I don't know. Has it been there before?
Well, I don't get moles, but I still get freckles. I don't know. They pop up in the summer.
Right. Well, the thing is, a mole could be as small as a freckle.
Yeah.
So,
well, I guess we'll get checked. We'll let you know.
We'll let you know
how it goes.
Yes. So that brings us to the last reason you should be wearing sunscreen, and it's to protect your skin against premature aging. And this is more of like a cosmetic approach, but at the same time, like it's all about your skin health. Like your epidermis, your skin is an organ. It's the largest organ of your body. And are you just going to be like, screw it, I'm never going to wear sunscreen, and then basically turn into like a leathery potato? Like, do you do that to your heart? I don't know. You know, it's kind of weird when people are very anti-sunscreen to me, because it's like, you brush your teeth every day, don't you? Like, yeah. What's the big deal?
Protect yourself. Protect
yourself. Okay, so let's talk about premature aging. The premature aging that comes from not wearing sunscreen are seen as wrinkles, sagging, age spots, damage to the elastin and collagen and skin cells of your skin, which is basically like elastin is the elasticity and the firmness of your skin. Same with collagen, and the skin cells are what protect you against cancer. And then you might have discoloration, fine lines, and a leathery texture. I'm sure we've all met one person in our life that has tanned every day, did the tanning oil, and like they might have looked great in their 20s, but now they're in their 50s or 60s and they literally look like a piece of leather. No bueno. I mean, whatever. If you like the way it looks, go for it, but it's not healthy. So a study was published in 2013, and it shows that regular sunscreen use protects against these types of sun damages. 900 participants were followed for 4 years. Some were told to use sunscreen daily and instructed in proper use, including reapplying after like activity or going in the water. You're supposed to reapply. Like if you go swimming and you get out of the water, you're supposed to immediately reapply your sunscreen, for instance. Other participants were given no directions with regarding to using sunscreen. It was apparently considered unethical to advise the other half to not use sunscreen, so they just didn't tell them how to use them. I'm like, I think that makes sense. So at the end of the study, it was found that those who use sunscreen daily were 24% less likely to show increased signs of aging.
Well, there you have it.
If you're worried about wrinkles or like discoloration or fine lines or, you know, texture, start using sunscreen. It is literally never too late to start using sunscreen because your skin is constantly regenerating all the time. So if you start taking care of it now, you'll see results. So do it. When thinking about sunscreen and sun protection, there are a couple things you need to keep in mind. So there's 3 types of UV rays. UVA is the least energy of the rays, and it's this UVA is what usually is the cause of like premature aging, so wrinkles and things like that. UVB have slightly more energy than UVA, and this is the type of ray that usually is the cause of skin cancer. However, UVA can also cause skin cancer, but not as much as UVB. And then there's UVC, which have more rays than both of them, or more energy than both of them. But however, it does not make it to ground level because of the way it interacts with the ozone layer. However, there are artificial producers of UVC rays, such as welding torches, mercury lamps, UV sanitizing bulbs, which are used to kill bacteria and other germs, such as in water, air, and food. I think the average person is probably not coming in contact with UVC, but you might.
If you're a welder,
If you're a welder,
then you're not the average person.
then you're not the average Joe. You're the welder Joe, and you should be wearing sunscreen. So, who should be using sunscreen daily? According to literally every dermatology and medical association and source that I looked at, as well as the Skin Cancer Foundation, literally everyone should be wearing sunscreen. Men, women, and children over 6 months of age should use sunscreen every day, and that includes people who tan easily and those who don't. So how do you pick a sunscreen? The Skin Cancer Foundation believes that the best sunscreen is the one you are most likely to use. So first and foremost, so don't be overwhelmed. As long as it provides safe and effective protection, is broad spectrum, and has an SPF of 15 or higher. There are 2 types of sunscreens. There's physical, which is a mineral sunscreen. So basically, like, if you're using a mineral or physical sunscreen, when the sun hits your skin, it bounces off. A chemical sunscreen absorbs the UV rays before they can damage your skin. So the skin, it still goes in, but it's absorbed by the chemical sunscreen. More and more people are suggesting going with more of the mineral sunscreen instead of the chemical nowadays, but you can still use both. So what does SPF stand for? So remember Mr. Swiss mountain climber,
Yes.
Franz Grider? Well, he invented SPF. SPF stands for sun protection factor. So if it says SPF 30, for instance, the number tells you how long the sun's UVB rays would take to redden your skin if you apply sunscreen exactly as directed. So if you use an SPF 30, it would take 30 times longer to burn than if you used no sunscreen.
Okay.
So
That kind of makes sense.
Makes sense. And the last piece of advice is the Skin Cancer Foundation recommends for anybody looking to get into sunscreen to use a broad spectrum sunscreen. So broad spectrum protects you against UVA and UVB rays. Most sunscreens nowadays, if they're FDA approved, have to be broad spectrum. So that's like something you can look for. SPF 15 is ideal for every day. So occasional exposure like walking your dog. And then SPF 30 or higher is necessary for extended outdoor activity. And it's necessary if you work outdoors. And then they say wear your sunscreen every day. The best practice is to apply it 30 minutes before you go outside to allow it to get into your skin. And then reapply every 2 hours of exposure and immediately after swimming or exercising, even when it's cloudy and even when you're inside. I think a lot of people think like, oh, I don't have to wear sunscreen because I'm inside. The UVA and UVB rays do not discriminate against glass.
They're
It's coming in, honey. They're in. If they can break through the clouds, they can break through your window. So just think about that. I feel like I could literally talk about this forever, so I feel like I'm going to stop here, but I will give Grace 2 really interesting articles. One is from Teen Vogue. It is called Sunscreen is an Important Part of Your Skincare Routine Even at Home by Asia Millawar. It's on Teen Vogue, like I said, and that goes into the importance of wearing sunscreen inside your house, even if you don't think you need to. It also talks about a new type of light spectrum. It's called HEV light, which comes from your screens. That is causing skin damage. So that was scary.
Oh, no.
And then there is 2 other articles about the racial component of sunscreen. So one is The Problem Sunscreen Poses for Dark Skin by Lola Fadalou on The Atlantic. And then Skin Deep, The Radical Politics of Sunscreen by Rachel Charlene Lewis on Bitch Media. I'll make sure she includes them in the description. I hope we remember to share them on Twitter because they're really interesting and illuminating. Anyway, so I hope everyone starts wearing sunscreen. I'm going to start wearing sunscreen on the body.
Yeah, we'll talk about body sunscreens because I feel like it's hard to find one that doesn't feel sticky.
Yes, and
gross.
I read that you're supposed to, every 2 hours, you're supposed to reapply a shot glass worth of sunscreen all over your body.
Well, bottoms up, am I right?
There was like a frequently asked question of like, I bought sunscreen last summer. Can I use it? And it was like the American Dermatologist Association or something. And they were like, you should not have sunscreen from last year. A family of 4 at the beach for one day should be using a full
Like a
bottle
whole
of sunscreen. Yeah.
Well, you definitely inspired me to make a dermatology appointment, so thank you.
Samesies. I inspired myself. I hope I inspired some other people too. Please wear sunscreen. Look at us. We're glowing. We're in sunscreen. We look great. We're going to look amazing when we're 50. That's all I have to say. We're going to have like the best skin.
If we make it to 50.
Well, yeah, that's to be seen. But if we do, we'll look good.
My topic comes from the Tuesday New York Times by Daniel Okulich on September 21st. 25 across, subject of a famous 1937 disappearance.
I was thinking about doing this. The
I
answer.
Thought you would do it.
I was close. I was really close. And then I was like, I don't know if I could do this topic justice. And then I was like, SPF, I can do that one. I can do justice for that one.
Well, the answer, Amelia Earhart.
Yes.
If you didn't know.
Oh, yes. I'm very excited about
this week. Yes. So Amelia Earhart, obviously she was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean and the first person, man or woman, or, whatever gender, ever to fly solo from Hawaii to the U.S. mainland. Ooh. But she may be most famous for her 1937 disappearance, which is considered one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century.
Ooh.
Or is it?
Or is it?
There have been recent-ish developments in her disappearance, so I got almost all this information from history.com. Okay. Amelia Mary Earhart was born in Atchison, Kansas on July 24th, 1897. So
Howdy.
She is a Leo. Yes.
And a Leo. Very good.
Yeah. At a young age, she was breaking out of gender constraints. She played basketball. She took auto repair courses and she went to college. So she always, went against the grain. During World War I, she served as a Red Cross nurse's aide in Toronto, Canada, and that's where she first started watching airplanes. Basically, she would watch the pilots who were training at the Royal Flying Corps in Canada. That was like her first glimpse.
Wow.
After the war, she returned to the United States and enrolled at Columbia University in New York as a pre-med student.
Good for her.
But that didn't last long because in December of 1920, she took her first airplane ride and she became hooked.
Ooh.
That was in December. By the following January, she started flying lessons with a female flight instructor, Netta Snook.
I love that.
I feel like growing up, I thought Amelia Earhart was like the first female pilot.
Yes,
which is not
true. I think so too. Okay.
I don't know. I didn't really think about it that much.
Agreed.
After that, but Netta Snook was her instructor. And hold on. She purposely sought her out as a teacher. Amelia reportedly kept a scrapbook of newspaper clippings detailing the successes of women in male-dominated fields.
Oh, you love to see it.
We love that for her. And so to help pay for her flying lessons, she worked a bunch of different, jobs here and there. She was a filing clerk at the LA telephone company. And then 6 months later, it only took 6 months, she bought her first airplane.
Damn.
A yellow second-hand, so it was used, Kinner Airster, which she named the Canary.
Oh, that's actually so freaking cute.
Yes, that's not the plane she got lost in, but
okay.
That was her first plane. So yeah, she knew what she wanted. She took her first flight in December. In January, she's taking lessons. 6 months later, boom.
She got a plane.
In December 1921, 1 year after going on that very first plane ride, she passed her flight test and received a National Aeronautics Association license.
Oh my gosh.
Boom. She set a number of aviation records. In 1922, which was only her first year flying, she became the first woman to fly solo above 14,000 feet. In 1932, she became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean, second person after Charles Lindbergh. So it made it seem like, she was the first woman to do it. She was the second person ever to do that.
That's insane. Yeah.
She left Newfoundland, Canada, and arrived 1 day later near Londonderry, Northern Ireland, which we know from the Dairy Girls.
Yes!
And she landed in a cow field.
Oh my God, I love that.
When she came back to the U.S., Congress awarded her the Distinguished Flying Cross, which was a military decoration awarded for, quote, heroism or extraordinary achievement while participating in an aerial flight. Wow. She was the first woman to receive this honor, and it's very rare in general that civilians ever get that honor.
Wow.
That same year, she was the first woman to fly solo across the U.S. She flew from L.A. to Newark, New Jersey, and it took her 19 hours.
My God.
Imagine.
No thanks. No thanks.
These days, you can fly to Tokyo in 13 hours from Chicago. In 1935, she was the first person to fly solo from Hawaii to the U.S. mainland. And she did a lot of work for women and aviation on the ground as well. It wasn't just up in the air.
Okay.
She was an aviation editor at Cosmo magazine. She published articles like, "Shall you let your daughter fly?" and "Why are women afraid to fly?"
Oh my God. Good for her.
In a departure from airplanes, in 1933, she started manufacturing her own clothing line out of a suite in New York's Hotel Seymour. This was like, in case the flying thing didn't work out, this was going to be her backup job.
Very cute.
Amelia Earhart Fashions was the name. Consisted of dresses, blouses, pants, and suits, and it first debuted at Macy's, at the time R.H. Macy & Co., and went on to be sold at 30 department stores across the country.
Killing it.
Yeah. The clothing line was groundbreaking, eccentric, most importantly, practical. Most of the clothing in the line were separates, which was not that common at the time, but it allowed women to wear different tops and bottoms to accommodate, different body sizes and, activities instead of sticking to the one-size-fits-all dress thing that was popular. Earhart also introduced blouses with longer shirt tails, something that only men's shirts had at the time. This prevented shirts from becoming easily untucked with every small movement. A quote from Amelia, quote, "I made up my mind that if the wearers of the shirts I designed for any reason took time out to stand on their heads, there would still be enough shirt to stay tucked in."
I love that.
She's kind of eccentric.
Yes.
She also used unconventional materials like parachute silk and textiles from airplane wings. And some of the clothing even had buttons shaped like propellers. So she did put in her aviation passion.
That's so cute.
Her clothing was generally medium priced, with the pieces ranging from $30 to $55, which was expensive at the time. But also this was during the Great Depression, so a lot of people couldn't afford that. So Amelia made her sewing patterns available in Woman's Home Companion magazine so that her fans could just make the clothes themselves if they wanted to.
Very cool.
Yes. Unfortunately, the clothing line ended up being a flop, largely in part to the Great Depression. But in 1934, she was recognized by the Fashion Designers of America as one of the 10 best-dressed women in America. And she was always very well-dressed in her flight suits. She, designed a different flight suit for women pilots that allowed it, basically made it easier to take off the bottoms to pee, essentially. Because men don't have to do that. Amelia's husband, George Palmer Putnam, helped her with this clothing line, and they had kind of an interesting marriage. So he proposed to her 6 times before she said yes, and she wanted things in writing before they signed any papers. So it was basically, she made a prenup, and these are some quotes from the prenup. Quote, "I want you to understand, I shall not hold you to any medieval code of faithfulness to me, nor shall I consider myself bound to you similarly." So basically, we're not going to be monogamous. Another quote, "Please let us not interfere with the other's work or play." So I'm going to fly as much as I want and you can't stop me.
Mm-hmm.
Then another quote, "I must exact a cruel promise, and that is, you will let me go in a year if we find no happiness together." So she basically had a, get out of free card. Good
for her.
Free. Yeah. And then there's a lot of speculation that Amelia Earhart was gay, and also that she was involved with her so-called close friend, Eleanor Roosevelt. So this is like a deep dive if you want to go into their friendship. But basically, they became friends. Eleanor became very close with her. She wanted to take pilot lessons from her after meeting her. And Amelia was supposed to teach her, but unfortunately she didn't get the chance to because they became friends later in Amelia's life. One of the most famous stories about these two was that during a dinner at the White House with their husbands, Eleanor asked Amelia what it was like to fly at night. And Amelia said it was like flying with the stars. Then Amelia suggested that the two take an impromptu flight to Baltimore and back. So in their evening gowns, they did. Eleanor took seat as a co-pilot even though she had just gotten her student license. They disappeared for hours and came back later that night. So.
Okay.
I know. There's I didn't want to go too much into this. Nothing.
There's a lot with
sure.
Eleanor, for sure. I feel like the Eleanor is having lady friends is everybody knows about that. So.
Yeah. Well,
Miss Amelia, hello.
We will definitely post some pictures on our Instagram. It's very cute. Amelia also helped form the 99s, which is an international organization for the advancement of female pilots. It still exists today, and it represents women pilots from 44 countries.
Amazing.
But now we're going to get to her big flight, 1937, the flight around the world. On June 1st, 1937, Amelia Earhart took off from Oakland, California on an eastbound flight around the world. It was her second attempt to become the first pilot ever to circumnavigate the globe. She flew a twin-engine Lockheed 10E Electra, and it was red, I believe, and was accompanied by navigator Fred Noonan, which I didn't know. I thought she was like totally alone, but
I thought so too.
No, Fred Noonan was there. Shout out to Fred.
Oh, Fred. Hey, buddy.
They flew from Oakland to Miami, then down to, well, I don't think they flew straight, but Oakland to Miami, then to South America, across to Africa, east to India and Southeast Asia. They reached Lae, New Guinea on June 29th. At this point, they had flown 22,000 miles, and they only had 7,000 miles to go before reaching Oakland.
Oh
they departed from Lae, New Guinea on July 2nd, and it was the last time they were seen alive. Noonan lost radio contact with the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Itasca, which was anchored off the coast of Howland Island. FDR, Eleanor's husband, issued a massive 2-week search for them, but they were never found. At the time, it was the most expensive air and sea search in history. They spent about $4 million.
Wow.
At the behest of Eleanor Roosevelt?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh my God, my little heart. This story always makes me very sad. I think about, first of all, I have a fear of open water.
Yeah.
Large expanses of open water. I recently listened to a podcast about the USS Montgomery or whatever frickin' boat that got, sunk in World War II by the Japanese submarine. And like all the people like were in the ocean covered in oil, and then like all the sharks were eating them, and then they all got rescued and like their skin fell off as I got pulled out of the water. Anyway, I think about that often. And I think about Amelia hopefully not dying in the water and getting eaten by a shark, and just those last moments before the plane goes down. I just can't imagine like what they're thinking. It's harrowing. Anyway, not to get morbid.
Well, let's talk about what potentially happened to her.
Okay.
So one theory is that they ran out of gas while searching for Howland Island, and they crashed into the ocean. However, multiple searches, including like modern high-tech sonar and deep-sea robots, have never found a plane. So the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery, or TIGAR, theorizes that they veered off course and landed on Gardner Island, now called Niku-Maroro. So the island was not inhabited at the time, and they think that because there is like a radio, she did, it's like one of the things that she radioed in about where they were going. It's all, aviation speak, but basically they were like, it seems like she went off course. She was like 300 feet south from where she was supposed to be. So it would make sense for her to be around this island. A week after Earhart's disappearance, Navy planes flew over the island, and they noted recent signs of habitation, even though no one's supposed to live there. But again, who knows? Maybe people did live there, but it just wasn't, colonized yet or something.
Right.
But they noticed like campfires, but they didn't see any airplane anywhere, so they kept moving. It is possible that at the time of Earhart's disappearance, the tide on Niku-Maroro was especially low, so there would have been a reef surface along the shore that was long and flat enough for a plane to land. So it's possible that she landed the plane there. They didn't crash, that she was able to land the plane there. When the tide rose again, it would have taken the plane with it.
Wow.
Since 1988, the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery has done a lot of expeditions to the island, and they have turned up some artifacts like pieces of plexiglass that may have come from a plane window, a woman's shoe dating back to the 1930s, improvised tools, and a woman's cosmetic jar from 1930s, a freckle cream that Amelia specifically liked.
Oh my God.
And potentially a finger bone that at the time they were like, no, this looks like a man's finger bone. But in 2018, it was tested and deemed consistent with a woman of Earhart's size and build. So
wow,
that's really like the newest.
You said this was the island that people called Gardner Island? And what's it called now?
Yes, it was called Gardner Island. Now it's called, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing this wrong, Niku-Maroro.
Okay.
So that, I think that's what most people believe to have happened. In 2017, an expedition with 4 forensically trained bone-sniffing border collies found no more bones, though. So it's like, not that much. I mean, only like one finger bone has been found. And then I feel like the cosmetic cream is pretty telling, but who knows?
Right. Like maybe they did land there and maybe they took off again.
Yeah. In 2019, Robert Ballard, the man who found the Titanic wreck, led a team to search the ocean around that island, and they found nothing. So the plane has never been found.
Wow.
Let's get into some other conspiracies, though.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a conspiracy that FDR sent her to spy on the Japanese who captured her after the plane crashed. There's like a bunch of variations of this conspiracy that basically she was captured by Japanese army. Some say it doesn't really make sense because she didn't fly by Japan on her flight, and it was also highly publicized. It was not like a secret mission that she was flying, so
right.
Who knows? However, there are oral accounts of people on the Marshall Islands saying that they saw her land their plane there and she was taken as a prisoner. It was like, people are like, yes, my grandparents, uncles and aunts, like they've been telling this story that they saw her land her plane here and she was taken as prisoner.
Wow.
In 2017, investigators found a photograph from the Office of Naval Intelligence that shows a ship towing a barge with an airplane on the back, and on the nearby dock are several people, 2 of which could be Amelia and Noonan. I don't know. There is an additional theory to this that the Japanese released them or they were somehow able to escape and they returned to the US under new identities. And they just live their life as new people.
I just can't imagine that Amelia would live her life quietly unless she was like severely traumatized, which is possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's actually a book or a TV show or whatever based on that theory that she came back.
Mm.
But yeah, that's Amelia Earhart.
Damn. Oh, it's so sad though.
Yeah.
I think most likely it was some sort of crash or landing and mishap or something.
I feel like, yeah, they landed on that island and were castaways for a little bit, but eventually,
Sadly,
died. They didn't
probably
have
died.
any. Yeah.
But
yeah, so.
I feel like it could also have been like a landing and swim to shore situation, especially if like they can't find the thing is that's weird though is they can't find the plane.
Yeah, or like, I mean,
Anything
it's just that
else.
one bone. Yeah, they haven't been able to find other bones. That's why it's like maybe these other conspiracies. Who knows?
But
Were they prisoners of war?
The ocean is truly massive.
Yeah.
Truly massive. And like, if you were to get lost at sea now, it would be very difficult to find you. Like, think about the airplane that crashed.
Well, is there a conspiracy about that too?
There was.
Who knows? I don't know enough about, sonar technology, but
It's true. The most I know is that pod that they used in the Titanic movie. That's all. That's the extent of my knowledge.
And I'm sure that's totally scientifically accurate.
It is 100%. I would know. I'm a Titanic expert, obviously. Wow. Now I need to do something so I don't think about how scary it would be to die at sea.
Well, don't fly a plane and you're probably fine.
I literally will never. And I don't ever plan to go on a big ship at sea either.
All right. Well, then you're good to go.
Never traveling again. I'm just going to stay right here.
It's very easy to not get lost at sea if you just don't ever go out to sea.
It's true. It's true. Well, keep hoping for me that I never have to do that. Hopefully I never get put in a situation where I'm forced aboard a ship. Oh my God.
All right.
Welcome inside my mind.
Yeah. Before we spiral, we'll sign off. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank
Please
you.
Follow us on Twitter at The Good Eve Girls.
Or Instagram at The Good Evening Girls.
Or TikTok at The Good Eve Girls.
We have lots of fun over here. We thank you for listening as always.
And remember,
keep curious.
we love it. Okay.
We do.
Bye.
Bye.